Good morning, my name's Will. Today I'm going to be going over how to check your SCBA pack, your self-contained breathing apparatus, for your morning check before class. So here's our pack assembly in front of us, and right here I have my SCBA face piece. So we'll start with the pack itself. So first thing I'm going to do is just look over my whole pack, see if it's dirty. There could be debris on it. It could just be dirty. So if you have to clean it, you're going to use warm water and some soap, or per manufacturer's recommendation, maybe a bit of a brush too. And then after you clean it, you let it air dry. You don't put a heater on it or anything like that, or leave it sitting in the sun. You just set it out in the bay and it'll dry. So that's how we're going to clean it. So first, I'm going to go ahead and lay my pack down and check my bottle itself. So I'm going to remove the bottle from the harness. Once I've removed it, I'm going to look over my bottle. I'm looking for any gouges in the fiberglass wrapping, any peeling of labels, depressions, anything like that. So this one looks really good. And then while I have it out, I'm going to go ahead and check my gauge. So here's your gauge on your bottle. It's currently at 3,000 PSI. The lowest we want it to be at is 4,000 PSI. So this bottle would need to be filled before it be put in service. So I want to check and make sure my gauge isn't broken. And then I remove the fill cap end and make sure there's no debris or anything in there, so that looks good. And then I will also look in the quick connect port and make sure there's no debris. So while I have my bottle out, I'll check my back plate of my harness here, make sure none of the plastic's broken, none of the wires are frayed, nothing is out of the ordinary. And then I check in here and make sure my O-ring's down in there and that both of these pull away handles work. So once I've checked this whole back plate, we'll go ahead and put the bottle back in. Once the bottle is secured back in, I'll stand it back up. So I'm gonna go ahead and check all my straps here. So we're looking for any frayed straps, ripped, or corrosion on the buckles, rust, anything broken really. So you check your strap, you make sure it's all the way extended and this strap isn't twisted or anything like that. So I'm gonna check both those. They both look good, neither one of them's frayed. All the hardware on the straps look good, and then my pass device isn't cracked or anything, and then we'll check that furthermore when we turn the pack on. So I'm gonna go ahead and check my waist strap. So waist strap's good. This one's also good. And then my regulator, I'm gonna look over it and make sure there's no broken pieces or cracked plastic on it, and then I'm also gonna check the seal here. I'm gonna go ahead and check that this gasket's in place. It's a foam gasket that seals up against your mask. I wanna make sure that's there, free of any debris around it. And then you want to check this little wire that goes into your heads-up display. You want to make sure that's not frayed or anything. And then your purge valve is this red piece right here. It opens that way and it's shut when it's pointed up. Then this is your reset button for your diaphragm that's inside the regulator. So when you take your first breath, you open up the diaphragm, and in order to reshut that so you don't have air spewing out when you disconnect your regulator from your mask, you click this button on top here. And then just overall look at your regulator and make sure this piece on the outside is not cracked or damaged or anything like that. And then this is the part that secures it into the mask. So you want to check, again, any debris, and then make sure the spring's working. It should spring on its own. We'll disconnect our regulator here, and we'll check in the electronics port for any debris, and then the air port for any debris on both sides here. So this one looks all good. And then any damage around like the O-ring here for the electronics. Make sure everything's there. You want to make sure that this cuff moves back and forth freely. If there's debris or dust stuck in here, it'll get stuck in the back position. So if it's stuck in the back position, you'll go to connect this and it won't stay. So as long as it slides forward and then it's secure. So that all looks good. Everything else looks good here. And then I'm going to check my battery compartment, which is this circle piece right here, and make sure that my battery cap is on tight and it's not broken again. Okay, so now that we've checked that, I'm gonna go ahead and look over my mask before turning the pack on. So here's my SCBA mask. I'm gonna go ahead and check the glass piece, the front piece, the lens here, make sure it's not cracked, scratched, or anything like that, along with the plastic piece around the outside of it. Really just making sure nothing's broken. And then this piece on the inside is called your nose cup. So I wanna check and make sure my nose cup's seated all the way around the lens. So I'm checking here on both sides there, which mine's good, and then around the voice boxes on each side. So mine's seated on both sides there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and check my mesh part in the back. So I wanna make sure none of these straps are frayed. The mesh is good. So once I've checked all that, next I'm gonna go ahead and turn my pack on and then don my mask. So before I power my pack on or turn my pack on, I'm gonna check the level of my batteries here. So you have a light here and a light here. And then on your pass device, you'll be watching these lights here. So all I'm gonna do is press the yellow button on the side of my pass device. We'll watch our lights. So since it flashed green, we know that our batteries are good. If it flashes yellow, they're about halfway full. And then if it's red, they need to be changed. Another way you can tell if your batteries need to be swapped out is when you turn the pack on, it'll have a chirp every couple seconds. So my pack's on, I'm watching my lights on the back plate here to make sure it's blinking green. And then I also want to check on my pass device that that's a green light as well. So that's showing that my pack's good, and then my heads-up display is fully illuminated, showing that all lights are working here. Now I'll go ahead and don my mask. So I'm going to tighten all my straps here. I already had the center one tight, so I didn't have to check that. And then I'm going to go ahead and check for a seal. So you take your hand and put it over the face piece, and make sure the mask sucks into your face, so that's how I know I have a good seal. So next, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and clip in my regulator. So that way when I take my first deep breath, the diaphragm cracks and it gives me air into my mask. And then I want to make sure my purge valve works, and then the reset button works as well. So I'll go ahead and click this in now. So that works, and then when I remove it, the reset button works. You also want to check your heads-up display and make sure your lights are actually blinking on that. All right, so once we've done that, now what we're going to go ahead and do is let the pass device activate on its own. So once it sits still, it'll activate on its own. So both lights and on the heads-up display. So I checked all my lights were illuminated. I'll go ahead and turn off my bottle now. My bottle's off. I'm going to go ahead and use my purge valve to listen for the vibe alert. Again, watching my lights that would show that my air is low. So. So all my lights worked that time as well with the low air alarm going off. I will now check my manual activation of my pass device, again checking that all lights are working as they should. As seen there, all lights were working again, so now I will go ahead and shut my pack off.